So I've been listening to Logic now for over 6 years, and I have to say, I'm a pretty big fan of Logic to this day, but I still think that his mixtape era was a lot better than the stuff that he's been releasing recently with most of his albums. And I think if you ask most fans of Logic who have listened to him for a few years at least, they will most likely say that they prefer mixtape Logic to album Logic. So why exactly is this, and what exactly happened to Logic? So the first thing you gotta talk about when it comes to rappers being successful is I feel like a lot of people don't like it when their favorite artist becomes successful, and that is very weird to say because you think if you're a fan of someone, you would want to see them get as big and successful as possible. But what ends up happening a lot of the time, and Logic has even said this himself, is a lot of fans feel like you are their little secret, and then when you become big and mainstream, it's not nearly as cool to like something when it is mainstream. While I feel like that is the case with some Logic fans, I feel when you look at his projects though, you can definitely see a dip in his quality from the mixtapes to the albums. So when you start to look at Logic's albums, by far my favorite is Under Pressure. I feel like Under Pressure really captures what made the mixtape so well, and then just adds upon that with some actual mainstream sounds in there. I feel like it's not bad for an artist to, try to chase hits, because at the end of the day, this is their job, but Under Pressure had a nice balance of the two. It didn't feel too hit chasey, but it also didn't really differentiate too much from what made the mixtape so good, and I feel like this is why most people will say Under Pressure is their favorite Logic album so far. But when you start to delve deeper into the albums that he dropped after that, you start to see where some of the problems arise with the more mainstream version of Logic. When you start to look at his other albums, you can just tell they're very different. A lot of these albums are conceptual, like The Incredible True Story and Everybody, and I think this is where he really went wrong. I think it's very important to a lot of people to hear the story of Logic and hear things about his personal struggle and things going through his mind. People didn't sign up to listen to Logic's music to hear him tell a story, and a lot of the time these stories feel very shallow, the skits aren't all too great, and as a whole, the album just feels very hollow. A lot of the songs feel like they're trying to chase hits, like the song 1-800, and when you look at the new album Young Sinatra 4, which was supposed to be a return to the mixtape sound, you get songs like One Day on there, which just seem like there's something completely out of the realm of what Logic would do, which isn't always bad, but in terms of this, it just seems like he was trying to chase a mainstream hit. While I can't knock Logic for that because once again this is his job, it just makes the music suffer, which is very unfortunate. The thing that makes this really so frustrating is that Logic is one of the most talented artists in hip-hop right now, at least in my opinion. When you look at his newer projects, the bars are still there, and he's still able to deliver a lot of quality songs, but the songs that don't hit, they really just don't hit, and a lot of the songs on there, like I said, feel very single chasey, and they feel very un-Logic. It doesn't feel like a lot of the newer projects have that same flair that made the original mixtape so good. It seems like a lot of these songs are trying to chase hits, and like I said earlier, there's nothing wrong with that, but we've seen artists like Kendrick Lamar who are able to still maintain the art form and still maintain what made them great while also, somewhat chasing hits. When you look at Kendrick Lamar, you look at newer albums like Damn, and while that might be a little bit more mainstream friendly than something like To Pimp a Butterfly, the quality is still there. With Logic, the quality is still there in terms of bars and stuff like that, but when it comes to, actual subject matter and the actual feeling of the song, it just isn't the same, and it doesn't really compare with what he was releasing previously on those mixtapes. When Young Sinatra 4 was announced, I was very excited to see where Logic was gonna go. I was excited to see if he was going to truly bring it back to the mixtape days, but when I listened to the project, I was very disappointed. While there are a few songs on there, in particular The Glorious 5, where I really feel like he goes back to that old style, and I feel like he really is on that Young Sinatra stuff, when you really start to look at the album though, once again, there are just a lot of very single chasey songs, very pop friendly, radio friendly songs, and I feel like this is where the album starts to really fall flat for me. Bobby at this point is just way bigger than he ever would have been if he stayed with that mixtape sound, and it's very clear to see that this sound is working for him as he's bigger than ever, but I think a lot of the original fans are starting to get fed up with it. While the albums aren't bad per se, they're just not as good as we all know they could be, because Logic has the talent to be one of the best MCs in hip hop, at least in my opinion. So as a Logic fan, this puts me in a really interesting position. On one hand, I'm very excited for Logic, and I'm very happy that he's done very well for himself and that his career is on a complete another level from what it was only a few years ago. But also as a fan, I'm very disappointed to see that some of the art form has had to suffer. But the way I've been thinking about it more recently, and the point I want to get across in this video, is the fact that Logic has given us so much music for free that was also very good when he wasn't really making anything from doing it. And it's good to see that he's, getting the success that he has now, only that the art form really has to suffer a little bit. While that's unfortunate for Bobby the person, I'm very excited for him, and I'm really interested to see where his career goes. The albums that he is dropping now are by no means bad, but I definitely think that most Logic fans will agree that the albums could be better, especially if he returned to that original style that got him so popular. He tried to do it with Young Sinatra 4, but I think that was very disappointing to a lot of people who know what the real mixtape sound of Logic is. But I'm interested to see what you guys think of this whole thing. Let me know what you think down in the comments down below. Do you think Logic is as good as he was? Do you think he's gotten better? Do you think he's gotten worse? Let me know down in the comments down below. Also, let me know your favorite Logic project down in the comments down below. If you like this video, be sure to hit the like button. If you dislike the video for some odd reason, hit the dislike button. And if you're new, how about you subscribe? But yeah, guys, this has been JacobThrowaway, and as always, peace out.